Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. First tonight, hundreds of passengers on a flight to Tasmania are now in isolation following fears of a COVID breakout on board. 2 new infections are believed to be linked to the Virgin flight as Tasmanians scramble to secure masks on day 1 of a new mandate.
If a stitch in time saves 9, Juanita Squires is nothing short of a saviour.
It's a struggle, we're just trying to do everything we can to help.
She's swiftly sewing dozens of fabric shields for a population demanding protection, and here's why.
There are 4 additional COVID cases in Tasmania.
With fears 2 may have caught it on a Virgin flight from Sydney to Launceston last Wednesday. All passengers on board have now upgraded from casual to close contacts.
That means that the additional close contacts on that flight will bump the number of close contacts we're currently managing up to around 300.
From today, masks are required indoors.
Masks on the way in, masks for the demonstration.
But not during intense exercise, one of the few exceptions to the new rule. Launceston's FS8 says gym goers have adapted quickly.
They've all checked in, all hand sanitised, everything's running really smoothly.
Restaurants are having more trouble. The industry body wants an exemption for workers in hot kitchens.
I think some of them are going to advise their staff not to wear them if they believe it's a dangerous issue, because again, they've got to communicate with each other clearly. We don't want to see people spilling hot things over each other, whatever. So it's really a safety precaution that venues were worried about.
There are also problems finding masks in the first place. Stores are reporting shortages, especially for fabric versions. Meadow Muse Pharmacy will finally receive fresh supplies tomorrow after being stripped of stock.
It prevents you from touching the face. That is where it stops the transmission of infection.
To cope with the explosion in exposure sites as the virus spreads, a new testing clinic opened here today at Youngtown Primary School. And as more and more infections are recorded, the Premier maintains this is all part of the plan.
We have a high level of vaccination. We have sensible public health measures in place that will enable us to safely go about our lives, but importantly enable us to rejoin the rest of the country.
Something the Greens aren't ready to see.
We are calling on the Premier to close the border to those high-risk areas in order to keep Tasmanians safe.
A deluge of different views on how the fabric of our new society should look. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The man who caused a 3-day lockdown for southern Tasmania has today met his fate in the Hobart Magistrates Court. A COVID-positive Tim Gunn escaped hotel quarantine on October 11. Today, the 31-year-old was sentenced to prison.
Tim Gunn became a household name when he escaped the Travelodge Hotel while infectious with COVID-19, apologising when he plunged southern Tasmania into a lockdown just days later.
I would like to start by saying how terribly sorry I am to the state of Tasmania and the trouble I have caused.
The 31-year-old New South Wales man pleaded guilty to a raft of charges, including making false claims to authorities and leaving quarantine without permission. Today, Acting Magistrate Sam Mollard told the court Mr Gunn had his good-to-go pass refused twice, but he planned and persisted to enter the state despite those rejections, adding, "I give no weight to his claim that he was confused about the rules." The court also heard Mr Gunn does not intend to stay in Tasmania once he has served his sentence. Tim Gunn was slapped with a $1,500 fine and sentenced to 5 months in prison, with 2 suspended for breaching public health directions, the first punishment of its kind in Tasmania. Proving there's a price to pay for breaching health advice in the midst of a pandemic. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Back to local news now, and a Moona resident has pleaded not guilty to allegedly killing a pedestrian with his vehicle in the Hobart CBD 2 years ago. Alan Kelly allegedly struck a 39-year-old UK citizen on the corner of Argyle and Collins Streets in September 2019. The 55-year-old is charged with causing death by negligent driving, driving without due care and attention, and without a licence. He will reappear in the Hobart Magistrates Court on March 3. Glenorchy City Council has imposed a ban on jumping castles on all council properties following the Hillcrest Primary School tragedy, which has left 6 children dead and 2 in hospital. Last night, Council revised its policy, which now prohibits the use of land-borne inflatable devices. Council's General Manager will write to all tenants advising them of the decision. Home warranty insurance is set to be reintroduced in Tasmania. Incomplete or defective building work would be covered in the event a builder dies, disappears or becomes insolvent. The state government says it will consult with industry stakeholders, consumer groups and the insurance industry to develop a model as soon as possible. Christmas is a time for giving and Tasmanian charities are preparing for a big day of doing just that. Final preparations are underway for community lunches across the state, with donations still needed as demand continues to increase.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and donations for community lunches are starting to stack up.
We have a traditional lunch, which is just amazing. So we have turkey and ham and all the vegetable trimmings and cauliflower cheese that go along with that.
IGA on board, supplying food for the Launceston Community Christmas.
We then talk to our suppliers and work through with them, getting those donations made.
This year's event will look a little different thanks to COVID.
We're going to change the event from a sit-down inside event to a takeaway lunch.
People still urged to gather, but outdoors. In the south, Colony 47 is hoping it will be business as usual for the long-standing tradition.
We are still planning for a sit-down event.
Presents being wrapped and hampers unloaded in preparation for the big day.
They can enjoy a meal here or they can take away a meal, but then they've actually got food for their home later in the day or the next couple of days, so it makes a big difference for those in our community.
And donations are very much still in high demand, Loaves and Fishes doubling the amount of hampers they're distributing.
We know that this year's been another tough year. Our demand for our food has continued to increase. We've got waiting lists of people wanting food, so we know that the need is out there.
Helping to deliver a Merry Christmas to those who need it most. Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
The Hobart Hurricanes are one win from 4 games after another loss overnight. Mitch Marsh caused problems again for the Hurricanes, smashing a massive 6 in the 4th over to put the wheels in motion for the Perth Scorchers. Luckily, he carved his own exit, smashing a full toss onto the stumps.
Oh no, he plays on. So Mitchell Marsh has gone. Tom Rogers doesn't care how it looks.
Set 168 to win, the Canes batting lineup never really got going, falling 42 runs short. Perth jumps to the top of the ladder.
Good evening. 23 in Launceston today, 21 about Hobart and Burnie, and Devonport 22. 26 was the state's top at Friendly Beaches, 19 across Grove and Lowhead and 17 in Strawn. On the close-up shows cloudy conditions about the west. Further out, low-level cloud is pushing over Victoria in a westerly flow while thunderstorms are seen moving over WA. Tomorrow shows a ridge of high pressure extending over Tasmania from the west. Westerly winds tomorrow 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 knots about the south. Swells up to 6 metres in the west and south and up to 2 metres in the north. A gale warning is current for the southeast coast and the southwest coast, and a strong wind warning for the north coast, Bank Strait, Franklin Sound, Flinders Island, east coast and the central west coast. Tomorrow's forecast now cloudy across Hobart and Geeveston, Bothwell 15. In the north, Launceston 22, partly cloudy about Devonport and Cressy. Burnie tomorrow, partly cloudy, Strawn 17, cloudy in Curry. Partly cloudy and 20 in St Helens and Swansea, and Alford 19. The UV forecast is reaching an extreme 11 across the state. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast, Thursday fine apart from possible showers about the northeast. Friday becoming cloudy with showers about the southwest, and Saturday showers about the west and south, mostly fine and partly cloudy elsewhere. Capital cities 32 and sunny in Perth tomorrow, Melbourne cloudy and 38 in Alice Springs. And currently Hobart, partly cloudy and 18, Launceston sunny and Devonport mostly sunny and 18. And Kim, the countdown is on for Christmas with the forecast looking warm and sunny across most of the state.